Sawyer here, back on the road. I was talking about Tiando and how in the campground in Wyoming they had us, they came to our little camp of about 12 students. There were about 96 in the camp at the time. This was 1976 when we first had gathered after being on the road for 9 months to a year, sharing the information they gave us with the public. And this is when the classroom actually began, and the classroom part of it, which was the overcoming part, which was getting rid of all our human behaviors. So Tiando came to the campground, and they said that each partnership could sit with them and talk. We didn't have that many opportunities to just be with them like one-on-one like that at that point, especially. And so they were in the back seat of a car, and myself and my partner got in the front seats, and Doe said, "Do you have any questions?" And my partner didn't have any questions, so I asked why T was wearing eye makeup, because it was evident to me that she had something on her eyes. As it wasn't eyeshadow, it was a little bit of eyeliner. Now I was like a hippie guy, so to me that was odd, because I thought of this as a movement that wouldn't. I thought of makeup as having only one function, and that was to decorate the body in a way that was unnatural. So that's where I was coming from, in a sense, by asking that question. And T's response was, "It's none of your business." And Doe sort of chuckled at that. I was definitely kind of taken back by that response. I realized later that it was none of my business. If I was going to judge T by her outward appearance. Anyway, Doe later explained that T felt like her eyes kind of, I'm not sure what the word he used was, but that she wanted to look more normal, blend in more with the people that she dealt with. And Tiando did deal with people. I mean, they leased land from private, from ranchers for our camping, because we were a big group. We had a lot of tents. So, and they dealt with people on supplies. They bought all the supplies at that point. Well, not all of them. They gave us money, actually, to go out to the town of Laramie shopping once a week to buy our groceries. And there was no dietary plan at that point. They weren't really trying to regulate what we ate. So we pretty much bought whatever we wanted with the money that was given to us. And they also gave us what they considered mad money. We could just spend on anything. You could even go to the movies and stuff like that. And this was, in the very beginning of the group. Anyway, then there was a time when I was late for a meeting. I fell asleep. We were in houses then. It was actually in White Rock Lake, a house on Mockingbird Lane, where T actually left her body, died, and our vehicle died, and her ashes were spread over, according to her request. She was cremated, and her ashes were spread over White Rock Lake. Notice the white term. There's all kinds of terminology that follows everything we did, from names of streets to everything. Anyway, in that place, I was in this big easy chair, and I fell asleep. And the meeting started. I was in a different room, and I don't know if I awoke or somebody woke me up. I think I just awoke. And I came into the meeting, and they saw me, and I forgot what T said, but she wasn't happy that I wasn't keen enough because there wasn't any procedure for taking naps unless it was instigated by the teachers, and they did instigate naps. They said that the overcoming process that we were going through, all the changes that we were dealing with, did take an extra toll on our bodies, but they expected that we would rise to the occasion and take control over these horses, these physical vehicles, to keep them awake, to keep them alert, to make them function. And we were put through, different challenges in that regard, but nothing was unkind, and they never had harsh words, and they never were condescending. The only kind of thing they did was some of the students definitely had patterns of behavior that were not next level ways. I'm going to use Sorority as an example. Sorority was very, very quick to thought, quick to word, quick to action. He was fast as lightning. He was a red-headed Irish vehicle, and he was my partner a lot. And he would dance around me like in thought and deed. So he had one of his biggest lessons was to slow down, take his time, not be jumping ahead in terms of even jumping ahead like to finish the sentences of T and Do. So T and Do at a meeting, when he would raise his hands or be like with his hand up and down and trying to get a question in because he was so impatient, because he had so much on his mind, and he was like a little lapdog in a sense, trying to get attention from the teachers, and he was always first in line for everything. So T and Do in particular would say down Sorority, down boy, but it was never unkind. It was never with a condescending attitude, and there was no punishment, and there was no reprimanding, and there was no laying of guilt on anybody, and there was no trying to make somebody feel bad in public, and I never experienced it in private, and I never heard that anybody reported that. Even the dropouts don't have anything to say in that regard. The biggest criticism that the dropouts have that I heard was from one individual who said that T and Do didn't allow them to take care of their teeth by going to regular checkups in the dentist and having the best care put on cavities and stuff. And yet I had a lot of dental work so it's interesting that person's experience was one thing, but then my experience was different than that. Even though I know it was a sort of a policy that if it wasn't a tooth that we absolutely needed to chew with, and it was going to cost a lot of money for a root canal, they were frugal in that way, and so they would suggest that it just be pulled out, because they weren't. And actually, if it wasn't like a front tooth, that would affect the smile of the individual, because they didn't want people to look in a way like I look right now with missing teeth, because we had jobs and they didn't want that impression. They were trying to blend in. They didn't want to stand out. They didn't want the students to stand out, because we already stood out in a lot of ways when we were in the workplace and when we were shopping at stores and things like that, because of our ways and working together in partnerships. And the females all had short hair, and we wore shirts that buttoned at the collar so that we wouldn't see any, for the males, any hair on their chest sticking out, or for the females, we wouldn't see any cleavage or anything like that. So they were very modest in the dressing and things like that. And the clothing we would wear would be loose fitting, so not to show the form of the body, which was also part of the celibacy of mine, not giving the body a lot of demonstration of their sexuality, for the sake of others, because others can be stimulated easily by, especially when you're celibate for a long time. Almost anything, any showing of skin can almost trigger sensual thoughts. I'm going to leave it at that.